Sasha, my man. That's how I saw you on YouTube. That's exactly this person.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, here I am. That's it. Welcome, man.
Very nice place. Even
Sergey.
smell farm.
Sergey.
Sergey, yeah, this is my buddy. We are filming channel together.
Great.
So yeah,
Welcome.
we passed the intersection. We thought it's your house, and we were like, okay, let's check by the Cannabis. Once we see Cannabis, me and Sasha is there. Like, we couldn't find one.
Yeah. Well, actually, usually for many years I had lots of cannabis here, but because I've become in, working now, I'm working away from home mostly. I really don't have any grass.
It's okay. You know what? You have much better. You have knowledges. This is exactly why we came, man.
Well,
just to talk to you, yeah, man.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Nice.
Well, I'll show you my greenhouse.
Yeah.
So this is where, for many years, I grew, medical weed with the personal license, and now my greenhouse is a little old. I need to fix it up, but I'm just using it like a garage. And
oh my God, you have a grape.
All I have is grapes everywhere now.
Nice. This is your family farm?
No, I'll show you my family farm after. I built this greenhouse myself, I guess 2014. It's actually the first year that I don't have any ganja to show you.
Yeah.
But
you will tell us a lot about it, though. Вообще. It looks something gonna happen here. As far as I see, many people will do different activities. What is it?
Well, this is a festival site. My brother and I have been having this festival. Now it's been 17 years, except for during pandemic, we missed 1 year.
Yeah.
But it's a little music, dance, multimedia festival.
Beautiful.
And there's camping.
What kind of music though?
It's lots of different kinds of music. First we have like local folk music, different kinds of world music. Then we have some reggae, some new kinds of rock bands from Montreal and further. Next weekend we're having a little party again for the volunteers because there's like 200 people that work for this festival.
Wow! How many people actually in general were invited and visiting?
Up to 2,000.
No way!
Yeah. So
looks like we know where to make festival.
Yeah. You guys definitely have to check it out.
Wow!
And we have
any cannabis relation to the festival? I understand that everybody's smoking.
Actually, Joint Doctor, myself, I'm a sponsor of the festival.
Since
the beginning. But apart from that, it's not specifically, but it's a place where people are free to smoke. Ganja is just normal here. And there's also a lot of kids. There's a lot of families, you know what I mean? But it's not one of those like raves with a lot of drugs.
Yeah. More like a chill kind of
It's a family festival. And sure, we have some techno in another spot at night. But it's kind of a wholesome festival. Just having the kids there makes everybody behave a little better, and people keep the place clean because it's a beautiful spot.
So this is the land of your parents?
Yeah, this is my parents' land, yeah.
Cool.
And after I'll show you, we'll walk to the farm. There's a little path in the forest. We can also check out some mushrooms while we're doing that.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, this is where I grew up, man. This is my spot. Like, this is one of my favorite places in the world.
But you were born also in Montreal, huh?
I was born in Montreal. We moved out. My parents were like looking to get out of the city. They were young, sort of hippies, And
Like
my
we are
father,
pretty much
like us, you know.
Yeah.
And my father also was an amateur, a lover of weed, and
Yeah.
he wanted to be able to grow his own. So we moved out to the country. I was just a baby, and then we had a bunch of goats for many years. My parents worked hard, milking goats, making cheese, eating food from our own garden. It's really, nice life, and it's a nice area because there's a lot of friends, a lot of people around here who are like us as well, who moved away from the city to look for a better life for their family. And
How big is the population of this town?
Quaticook's only about 20,000.
20,000?
Yeah.
Any industrial growing facilities over here? Any, like, I don't know, maybe for some processing facilities in the area? Because we actually, you know what we figured out? Like, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. But we figured out that feels like it's much less dispensaries than in Ontario. Especially in the little towns.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Ontario has so many compared to Quebec. Quebec's much slower in opening these dispensaries. Also, they have certain limitations on the products that Ontario doesn't have.
Yeah.
For example, they have a limit on any product can't be more than 30% THC.
Yes.
So hashish is mostly, we make hashish actually.
We also brought you some hashish.
Oh yeah?
Our hashish, yeah.
Awesome.
From
I love it.
Mazar.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Mazar.
yeah.
That's an amazing plant. I grew that a long time ago.
Nice, nice.
When I was young, growing up, well, 17, 18, I started to grow weed.
Yeah.
And actually, it was a spot right across the river.
Really? I
was
think it would be one of the best places to actually take an interview, since we already pretty much started. So I guess that's the place where you were like hanging out when you were a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Just standing on a stone right there.
Yeah. Like Bob Marley. You know, Bob Marley used to use a stone for a pillow.
Yeah.
And he was like laying down and writing the
Exactly.
songs. Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And eating mushrooms and just becoming one with the river. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was fishing in this river.
We're gonna speak Russian once in a while, so don't be shy. Plus, you know how it sounds.
I don't mind.
It sounds like, what the fuck they're doing right now?
Most of our subscribers believe you're Russian.
Yeah, that's
I don't
funny.
know why. Like all of them think you're Russian.
Like
Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
Maybe because of the name. Or
I think it's because of autoflower, because just like relation, and because you were very related to Zagi.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why.
I think it's
Somebody was
my
translating you,
connection.
right, over there.
Oh yeah.
So that's why.
For exactly
plus the
like
name.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the name number one, right? Also, the fact that one of my partners in this, who was involved in Zagi before, his name is Sasha too. Of course, he's from Russia. He's in Czech Republic now, managing our business. But when we're together, we're the two Sashas. So, yeah, it's and also people just didn't know. For a long time, I had to stay underground, so things stayed mysterious. I didn't have too much time to go on the websites and forums anymore. So there was like a lot of mystery about who I really was, And even here locally in Canada, people don't. Only my friends know what I do. They don't all understand this business, but locally, regular, my neighbors, and they think I'm just, a regular, like, little organic farmer, and for a long time anyway. Now, I'm not shy about telling people what I do, and it's more accepted now because it's legal. So I can show my face. It's nice to not be afraid anymore.
100%.
And not be paranoid,
Opens
Police
doors.
stops me the other day. You saw the old car I drive, right? They,
Pretty
you
sketchy for cops, right?
Yeah. You see how I look, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, the cop stops me, and he doesn't ask me for my license, for anything. He says, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm going to work. I live here. I'm going to work there." He says, No. He says, "What do you do?" I say, "Well, I work in the cannabis industry." He's like, "Cannabis?" I say, "Yeah." He says, "All right, go."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No way.
yeah. I guess I fit I fit in this box. I looked like a cannabis guy, you know, and he's like, okay, so let me go. And
Yeah.
I was lucky that he didn't, you know, see if I was stoned.
You see, guys, this is how legalized works. Lots of things which were stigmatized, which are actually were ruining the lives of the people, which were putting an extra attention to them, just disappears when the things are legal. And it makes all our lives easier. First of all, second of all, it makes a chance, a situation when people like Sasha can easily open their skills for the people, for the crowd. And that's exactly what he did, pretty much. By the way, канал Торопых еще один миф сейчас развенчал. Саша, он не русский. I'm saying that Sasha is not Russian. but Sasha did a lot for the whole Russian-speaking community from different countries, especially for the people who discovered a autoflower for them. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is the person who actually turned around the whole freaking industry even though the industry was already fulfilled with lots of different interesting things, but this is the person who created his own shelf, the shelf of the autoflower plants. And we all right now, and especially you, I know you especially, right now can enjoy this creation. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, Sasha, Doctor's Choice. They call you Doctor's Choice, but how we should call you proper?
Well, I used to go by the
Joint Doctor.
Doctor.
Joint Doctor.
Now I'm just, you can call me Sasha.
You know what is cool about your nickname? The Joint Doctor, people for sure right away thinks that you are doctor, like for the joints.
Sure. Actually, there's a company in Canada called Doctor's Choice, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Some guy selling creams for the, the joints, yeah. But if you want, I can tell you the story how this name came about.
You know what I start thinking, that joint doctor in Russia, it's the person who can stop the canoe, you know. That's like we always say, okay, you stop it, you do it the best, you know.
That's how I got my name.
No way.
Yes, I was actually I was in college and I was known for being good at rolling joints, you know.
Okay.
Actually, we went skiing on a small hill, alpine skiing with a friend of mine. But I was good enough that I could roll a joint in the snowstorm on the chairlift and light it and smoke it before we got to the top of the mountain.
Challenge accepted.
You know?
We're gonna try.
At one point, he's smoking the joint and it's making a big run, big canoe, as you said, and he just passes it to me. I don't know. Somehow I fixed the run, you know, and we finished the joint before we got to the top. And he's like, "Man, you're the Joint Doctor."
You already told us lots of things about your past, and you said a few words about your father. So, as far as I understand, your father influenced you a lot to step into this particular topic, in the topic of farming, breeding, and all this stuff. So, can you tell us like few words how it happened?
Yeah. Well, as I was telling you, my parents moved here to the farm when I was just a little baby, and they were looking to start a more healthy life, grow their own food, like a lot of people in the late 60s, you know. Wow, they moved here, what, 72. And so, you know, I grew up with, my parents were very good gardeners. They had goats, making our own cheese, ice cream, pickles, all kinds of things, you know. And also, my father grew some good weed. Back in the day when not a lot of people knew how to grow weed, and he was growing some seeds that friends had sent back from Colombia and Afghanistan, you know. There was a lot of hippies traveling and they would bring back seeds. My father grew some amazing plants. So when I was like a teenager, I remember my father had a plantation, you know, in back of the house. It was actually not very well hidden. And
how old were you?
I was 11.
Okay.
And that was the first time that maybe I started to help out with. I was interested in helping out on the farm, and so by 15 years old, maybe I was like responsible for watering his plants and checking them, making sure that it was safe. And I also understood that he had to be very quiet about this.
Yeah.
And
Did
so
he
I
did
was
he did he
already
told you
in
already
this-
about it?
He told me about it, and in my experience, I saw a lot of adults consuming ganja around me when I was young. And so for me, it didn't have that stigma. I remember I used to hate cigarettes, unfortunately, later on I started to smoke them myself.
Fortunately, man.
But, weed wasn't a negative thing because parents seemed to like to play with kids more, and, they're more fun to be around. So there wasn't a stigma in my family. But unfortunately, my father had some problems with the law. He got busted more than once. So
For
one
cannabis.
time I remember coming home, I must have been 14, and there was a bunch of cop cars and a truck, in the front driveway, loading up plants, and I get off the school bus and they're just piling the plants onto my truck. I'm like, oh my God, my father's plants. He's gonna be so upset, and they're gonna take him away. You know what I mean? I was so scared. I came to the house, my father's there. He's relaxed. He's like, don't worry about it. Everything's gonna be all right. Just don't worry about it. It's not such a big deal. And but unfortunately, my father eventually he did some time in prison, and so he's like less than a year in prison. And that experience was really hard on my family, obviously. And my father paid a price for that, and it really made me a little more conscious and paranoid about the law. I didn't want my father to go to prison. I was also started to be passionate about this plant, even though I didn't smoke yet. I started only smoking when I was like 17, except I made up for lost time once I started. I really enjoyed it. But so I was gonna say, part of my life sort of mission has been to find a way to work with this plant and be safe with the law, and not to risk, being taken away from my family. And for many years, I lived with that fear.
Yes.
But so I became very good at growing. I started to take over growing, and I started to take over growing on not just weed, but on our crops, potatoes, things that we were growing. And I would grow far in the forest. I have nice clearing in the woods, have my 40 plants.
Partisan.
Guerrilla style,
Yeah.
But we really grew some good stuff back then. That's where I started to get passion for collecting strains,
Your father was not allowing you to smoke. Did he tell you something bad about cannabis, or he just told you oh, don't consume until a certain age?
What he said was, don't feel pressure to do one thing or another. He says, if you ever feel like smoking, if you ever want to try ganja, he says, the only thing I ask of you is that you come to me and we'll smoke a good joint together, and we'll hang out and we'll laugh, And so this is what happened. And so I had that in mind when I was ready and I wanted to try it. A lot of my friends had tried it, but I didn't smoke. I went to my father and we smoked the first joint together.
Wow, you smoked your
and
first
sat
J with your
and
father.
laughed, and
Holy.
yes. So that's how it is. So I'm a second generation, weed man, if you want. So a lot of that experience. My father was a very good grower.
Organic, I guess.
All organic, and that's the thing. We're an organic farm in here. He was involved in farming beyond just here. He was organizing organic farmers, and he's working for an organization that certifies the organic farms.
Okay.
So he was, with that job, he ended up, after he got out of prison, obviously, he was traveling around the world, visiting organic farmers in different locations, And so he started to work outside of the farm. That's when I started to be more serious about farming myself. I took over. he stopped growing, I was growing, and yeah, from then on, it was a passion. And for many years, you know, I came up with the name Joint Doctor because I was starting to write some articles for magazines and sending pictures and whatnot, and I didn't want to give my real name. So, and at the time, I was actually a DJ doing like reggae.
Oh,
reggae DJ.
nice.
I still like to play, you know, records.
You said you mixing music and stuff?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an amateur DJ. I like to, you know, I've collected reggae music, mostly vinyl, 45s, and yeah, so I still, like just yesterday, I played at a friend's birthday party, you know.
Oh, nice.
They said I was gonna play at the end of the night. Everybody wanted to, you know, to chill out.
Yeah.
To reggae music because it was more like electronic music and stuff. But I didn't know the end of the night would be the next day. It was like I started playing at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. That's why you
but
said
it was perfect.
Reggae festival. We started googling. Okay, where is the reggae festival in Montreal? We couldn't find anything.
Yeah, there used to be a reggae festival, but there's not much in the summer for reggae. There's a lot of reggae bands and artists, but actually during the summer they usually travel. That's where they get their you know, their gigs. So we export a lot of music.
What are you playing? Roots reggae, dancehall?
A little everything actually. Yeah, I'll play anything from like old rock steady.
Okay.
You know, like late 60s, 45s and stuff people haven't necessarily heard, but just reggae classics, you know. For sure I love roots music. I also grew up in the 80s.
Black Uhuru, Bob Marley, of course.
Exactly. All the classics like Burning Spear and
Burning Spear.
Also, I grew up in the 80s, so that was the beginning of dancehall music. So I have a lot of. I also can play, you know, up-tempo reggae like dancehall.
Cool.
Old dancehall, new style. You know, even to jungle music.
Whoa, nice.
So. Yeah, a little
that's
bit
probably some your relationship with Britons, right? That's why jungle music. Some influence.
Exactly.
From East London.
True. True, and from Northern England. From Sheffield. I had some good friends I met traveling who were ravers. You know, but from England, from Northern England. Yeah, and they introduced me to that style. You know.
Your father was growing in the 70s, right?
Exactly. 70s up till the 80s. So there was Afghani, that on the indica side you had some Afghani plants which grew well here. Real indicas, and they were strong, and because he knew how to separate the males, he was producing sinsemilla, and there wasn't a lot of people who knew how to do that back then, you know. And the other one was there was a strain of Colombian seeds that my father grew, you know, brought back with him from Colombia. So these were much taller plants. Yeah, everything was a landrace back then, mostly. Up until, late 80s, mid 80s, people started, the real growers, big growers started to go to Amsterdam to buy seeds. They would fly to Amsterdam every year, buy things like Super Skunk, you know, Mazari Sharif. There was only like Sensi seeds.
I guess Northern Light, I guess.
Northern Lights, exactly. Yeah.
And then later Diesel, Cam, and all this stuff.
But here we had some local strains also.
No way. What was the most popular local strains here?
Well, for the longest time, it was Friesland.
Friesland.
The name comes from Dutch. It's a part of Holland. So I don't know the history so much, but it was sold by Super Sativa Seed Club.
Okay.
They were the first. I think they were the first seed bank. They were Dutch guys, and so that
they had a headquarters in Canada.
In Amsterdam. No, you had to go to Amsterdam to get seeds back then.
So you were growing cannabis for yourself, or you were breeding right away from the very beginning? What was the main interest of yours? Because I think if your father was so involved in the growing process, so you were kind of already familiar. For you to grow in organic soil, you can pretty much grow everything, right? It's not a huge. I mean, of course, there are some nuances, right?
No, you're
but
right.
but of course, if you like get used to it, you have enough experience, you can grow anything. So, what was exactly the reason for like seeds? So you can stay on a safe side, or grow cannabis for you to
Yeah.
just to use it and consume.
Not yet. It was in the beginning. It was just to use and consume. And yeah, I learned from my father how to save seeds and pollinate specific branches. But at the beginning, we were mostly working with clones because the best plants were only available in clone format.
Plus,
like
it's the best
Friesland.
way to move genetics, right? So to keep genetics. I mean, yeah.
True. You can have exactly the same thing. You know it works. Because you can't just grow anything here.
Yes.
We're still a northern country. It has to be ready, like now, September. So a lot of like sativas you can't grow. So, but Friesland was perfect because it matured end of September. It got really big, and it had a distinct taste that everybody could recognize. So many years that was the standard, you know.
Yeah.
And then another next variety came after that was M39.
M39.
Yeah.
Okay. Friesland M39. Okay.
Also an old
Hunting
strain,
for legends.
but
Yeah.
people were starting to grow it indoors.
Okay.
It gives very good results indoors because it's like 50 days. It's heavy.
Oh.
And that became the commercial standard after. You know.
Yeah.
Today there's less people growing outdoors.
You were always growing outdoor, or you were also in indoor growing as well?
It was always outdoors.
Yeah.
And it was only until I moved away to from the farm that I began right away to grow indoors, like in my apartments.
Yes.
In my closets.
Yeah.
Because just to preserve my genetics over the winter, it was necessary to do that. And that's also how I got interested in growing short and small varieties. Because, you know, in the winter, when you have a small space,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
so that became, you know, before Lowryder, I was really looking for different strains that were compact and fast, and that I could grow in the winter in the closet, and then put it in my garden in the summer.
Yes.
Because, you know, this is a plant, when Lowryder came around, it was kind of a novelty. It's like we didn't understand it completely. We just knew it was a tiny plant. We're like, wow, this is cool, you know? And I can grow it in my garden. The first thing we thought was like, we can grow it in our garden.
So the first F1 you were considering as just short plants, but you were not thinking that this plant actually will be an autoflower. That's what you mean.
Well, you know, at first, no, it was just about fast flowering and short plants, and maybe didn't understand the mechanism of autoflowering.
Yes.
What we call autoflowering today. We weren't using the word
Ruderalis.
yet. Yeah, ruderalis. That's the right word. We knew about ruderalis. We read about it in the books about this mythical, like Siberian plant that flowered very, very quickly because of the short seasons, and that's where the understanding came from about autoflowering. Yeah, we were looking to create something a little like that, and I tried different strains for several years before we came to actually Lowryder, and then it was still a couple of years before we understood what we had, and then concentrated on that.
But you make it in purpose, and the same. One more question in the same topic: which ruderalis was it? This is the question numero uno.
Yeah.
You guys all asking all the time. Is it was ruderalis from Eurasia? Because you guys just want to relate it, or it was a different ruderalis, and can be actually different ruderalis be found somewhere else except Eurasia? So what was it?
Okay, well, it's a good question, and it's a big question. It's like, what is ruderalis, right? At first, we read about it. It comes from Russia.
Yeah.
It's a land race from Russia. But then when you look at the terminology, ruderalis actually means an escaped plant. So it means wild, but it means something that escaped from cultivation.
Yes.
So semi-wild, because cannabis has been cultivated for thousands of years. So there isn't anything that's like strictly wild anymore. You know, this is like, so ruderalis, I came to find out that there's many ruderalis plants from different. It can happen almost anywhere where an escaped plant becomes adapted to growing short and changes over a couple generations. You know, if you have a large enough population of plants, there's going to be some autoflowering genes, ruderalis genes in there by accident, just from pollen from you know, wild plants. And so the answer to your question, though, as far as where the Mexican ruderalis came from, we called it the Rudy. It came from my friend Antonio. Okay, this is what came before Lowryder. Okay, Mexican ruderalis. Antonio was a Mexican guy who lived here. He was a friend of mine. He had hair like this. To me, he was like a Rasta man, you know. He was like a wise man. He was like a barefoot intellectual. He walked like a, you know, a
always
wizard
talking about philosophical things.
Yeah, he was really smart. And he would always have something nice to taste. You know, he loved weed. And I visited him in the summer one time, and it was like July. And nobody had anything to smoke, right? He's like, just a moment. He goes in the back of his house. He pulls a plant, and it was already dry because he left it to just, it matured, it died, and he let it dry on the, that's how he worked, you know. He pulled it up, and we were rolling some joints. We were happy to have something to smoke. It tasted nice. It wasn't very strong. It had very little buzz, but it was still nice because, you know, nobody would complain, you know.
When you don't have
and it had a nice taste. Yeah. So I got some of those seeds from Antonio, Mexican ruderalis, and when I was living in an apartment, I moved to Montreal, and my friend and I, we had some strains, and we put a room together, and I crossed, because this ruderalis was short, I made hybrids with everything that I had, all these mother clones, and those seeds became like the first hybrids. You know, one of them was Williams Wonder, another one was Northern Lights, and so we crossed all these things with the ruderalis just to see what would happen. By that time, I moved to Poland. I went to study hemp growing in Poland.
Okay.
It was the only thing I could study in school of cannabis, and I met this Polish professor that invited me to come, and I stayed in Poland, and they gave me a greenhouse to do a project. The first medical cannabis project maybe in Poland that was, it was legal because it was under this Institute of Natural Fibers. And so then I was testing all the seeds that I grew, and you know, some of these were the Williams Wonder ruderalis cross that I made, and they were exactly what I was looking for. They were short, they were fast, they had a really good taste.
Yeah.
And but still didn't understand that they were autoflowering, or you know, because it was only F1. They weren't autoflowering. They were just fast, sort of a.
So
fast
the
version.
first generation, if you cross, and the plant you cross, as far as I understand, were feminized for the periodic plant. Oh no, it was like regular for the periodic plant, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So the first generation of this cross is not the autoflower, it's a fast for the periodic plant.
Yeah, today we call them fast versions.
Yes.
There's some companies that have the sweet seeds, for example, specialize in fast versions. You know, they just give the ruderalis, or not the ruderalis, the autoflowering, you know, makes it a little faster, and so it flowers maybe 2 weeks earlier. But it's not really. You can't. It behaves like a regular plant. You can make clones and everything. Yeah, so it was basically a fast version.
Just shorter flowering period, pretty much.
Yeah. So, well, we kept these seeds. I went back to Canada for the winter. I know, I moved around a lot. And so now I'm in Vancouver. And, or sorry, I was in Regina in Saskatchewan. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was growing my friend's basement, Dave. I got to say his name because Dave Strange became the photographer, and he was like my partner in getting the information out, you know, and selling seeds for a long time. He's still my friend. But we were in his basement, and we were growing some of these seeds that I was telling you about.
The F1s.
Now it's the F2 because I made seeds in Poland.
Okay.
And now we're testing out these seeds, and we had a certain portion of these plants were very, very young. Okay, they were 2 weeks old. They were just like babies, little seedlings, and we spotted some plants that are already making little balls, like little male plants. And they didn't really. They're 2 weeks old. They're babies, and so these are weird, right? But like, we kept those, and then soon we found females that were doing the same thing. So actually we kept those, and we got rid of everything else because, I mean, a lot of growers probably would have just thrown them out, say, these are weird plants or whatever. But we were just like, whoa, like now the bells were going off, you know, here's something that flowers under 24 hours. This is what we're talking about. This is ruderalis. This is autoflowering. When we start to like, and we came up with the name Lowryder not long afterwards. And
why Lowryder?
Why Lowryder? Actually, I was like sitting reading a magazine. I was like, and it was this magazine called Lowryder, which is about the Mexican, you know, American, like Los Angeles car culture. You know, where they have these Lowryder, like big American cars. Those are called Lowriders, right? I was like, bingo, that's what we want to call it. I'm like, because it's got Mexican roots, you know, and it's low down, it's low profile, easy to hide, you know, and also Lowryder is like, you can also, it's like ruderalis, like in Finnish. In Finland, a Y is a U, so that it would be a low rooter, right?
From all the interviews we had, to be honest, this story has the biggest fulfillment of symbolism. Like literally, it's so rich in meanings, right?
Yeah, well, it's fun to be able to tell the story. You know, I'm glad you asked because like I'm happy to share it now. And I've been thinking a lot, especially doing interviews more and more. I've had to like go back into my archives, my pictures, and just remember. Because it's been a long life. It's been a long career already so far.
Yeah.
Still not over though. I got some
100%.
got some new things to do for sure.
Let's say you have a ruderalis plant.
Yeah.
And you have a very nice feminized photoperiodic genetics. And you want to create a autoflower plant. So what is the process in a few words? If it's possible to describe it.
I think I can give you a quick idea. So basically, if you're taking a regular plant, crossing it with an autoflowering plant. So you have one regular plant that you like, maybe you want to make an autoflowering version. So you pick an autoflowering variety, maybe one that's already a little bit similar, something good, you know, and you have a female for example, you can have a female from the autoflowering. Like, so you get a regular seeds, not feminized, and once you get pollen from a male autoflowering plant, you can pollinate the regular plant. So you get seeds from that, basically. You know, I'm giving you a fast version. But obviously timing is really important in all this. But, so then you get what we call F1 seeds. So that's, you know, seeds with regular parents on one side, feminized autoflowering on the other side. Those plants are not autoflowering because, you know, the gene that controls autoflowering is recessive. So it's not dominant. When it's crossed with a regular variety, it's just going to make another regular variety. It has that code in it, but it's recessive. So all it does is flower faster. It takes some characteristics from both parents.
So this is what we call fast flowering plants.
Yeah, we call those fast flowering plants, and those are good. They're not really auto flowering yet because you can clone them, and they don't flower automatically, obviously. you have to put them under 12 hours of light or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but those F1s, now if you take 2 plants for the F1s, a male, female, for example, or many males, many females, cross those F1 seeds together to get F2 seeds, you will get some of those plants will come as autoflowering, like statistically 25%. So that in the 3rd generation, when you grow out those seeds,
Yeah.
you will have 25% autoflowering. And now if you only keep those autoflowering 25%, cross them to each other,
Okay.
now you have 100% autoflowering variety. And it's autoflowering, but I have to say, it's probably not ready to be sold yet.
Because
ideally,
this is still recessive.
No, by the time you get the 3rd generation,
Yeah.
you get it to be autoflowering, and it's. But what I'm talking about is,
3rd generation.
it may
of the
not be
last breed.
stable yet. Now it's autoflowering doesn't mean it's. You have to grow another generation to select the best plants. Ideally, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something we learned over time, because you don't always have a time. It takes a couple years, unless you're really growing intensively, you know, to create a good autoflowering variety.
So we're always asking this question, just to to remove all the unnecessary questions. What is Lowryder? What is the genetic? Let's call it genetical code, right? So who are the parents?
Right. Well, there is Northern Lights number 2,
Okay.
also called Closet Queen or Oasis at the time. It was a fast-growing, regular, fairly compact plant. Williams Wonder, which was, Williams Wonder was a clone that I had. One of my favorite types of weed. I wish I still had the clone, but the Williams Wonder selected just because I loved the taste and the shape of the plant and everything, and and Mexican ruderalis. So those are the 3 things that were in the first Lowryder. Now, like from the first Lowryder, we crossed it with a Santa Maria, which is a popular Brazilian connoisseur variety. It was really good. And crossed it, and then back crossed it, and did the same thing for 2 generations to get Lowryder number 2 autoflowering version. So those are the 4, the 4 strains that are in Lowryder today.
Are you actually decreasing some qualities of the plant by putting this recessive quality of the plant on the very top? Because you're doing lots of pollination, lots of crossing, right?
Yeah.
Are you losing some qualities? Maybe it's lower on THC. Maybe it has a less, I don't know, terpene profile. It's a question everybody asking.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you've grown some of our seeds, I mean, the autoflowering plants today are very much next generation plants. They're not the same autos. We've grown them for many generations, and many of them are just as strong as your typical regular plant. In terms of quality, they can be just as good, and sometimes better. But what you're asking about is it can be true too, especially at the beginning when we were using this Mexican ruderalis. There are some undesirable characteristics that come out of this, that come with the autoflowering. Other characteristics like just wild looking, small flowers, or very, very small. So that's why you have to grow it another generation or 2 to eliminate those weird ones,
Ugly
if you
ones,
want, But that's less and less of a problem because we're many generations later, and the good breeders have removed most of the undesirable characteristics. They can come back sometimes. You're gonna get but there's less and less of that problem now. But it's a valid concern, and I would say most of the people I know, they don't necessarily they're not looking for the strongest
Yes.
plant. They want it to be strong, but they want other qualities as well.
Yeah.
Flavor, taste, profile, and buzz, but also just easy to grow. That's the number one for autoflowers.
Yeah.
I mean, my father, in his garden, he likes to test my seeds, you know, and every year, and he's a great gardener, like you know, and he gets some amazing results in the garden.
I have a question, and it's not my question. It's subscribers again asking me a question.
Ah, okay.
Where we can find, all of us can find the Easy Rider? Like, because as far as I understand, again, it's not from me, it's from my subscribers. This strain used to be very popular in the home grow. Let's call it in a secret home grow where legalized is not there yet, you know?
Yeah, Easy Rider was actually, after Lowryder number 2, Easy Rider was a good success. It was one of the top strains for a while in Europe.
Yeah.
And it, unfortunately, like it is not, doesn't exist for sale right now.
But you still keep the genetics though?
I have always an archive of genetics, for sure. But
just for myself,
is,
what was the main, like, why people love it so much? Why it's Easy Rider? Why it was growing better, more resilient, or I don't know, just, I don't know, have a bigger yield, or
well,
like whatever?
It was strong, right?
Ah,
It was
okay.
stronger than the first Lowryder, let's just say. It also had some sativa in it from
Okay.
AK-47. AK-47 was a popular plant for growers back then. Like before amnesia and stuff, there was, you know, there wasn't a lot of sativa hybrids.
Yeah.
And so it, and at the time, you know, this was after the success of Lowryder number 2, and I had big distribution in Europe. Yeah, it was a success, but unfortunately, you know, it's a long story, but things happened where I lost some of my, I had to really reduce my, I had to stop growing for a while. And I had some problems actually with people stealing my genetics. People selling my genetics under my name.
Oh, even using your name?
Using my name.
Oh, wow.
And even copywriting my name in Europe.
Wow.
So I didn't even have control over my own identity. Like the Joint Doctor, Lowryder, trademarked in Europe by somebody else. And I went through years of problems.
You had to hide at this time.
I
You
had to hide.
couldn't like just like show your face at least to say it's me.
Well, I wasn't like, I was just a grower back then. I didn't go to shows very much. It wasn't like, you know, to try to be a personality. Because I was walking the line, you know, it's not just about growing myself. I had other guys who were growing. It's about money too. So it was like, I was stuck. I couldn't grow. I couldn't sell anymore because I didn't own my own intellectual property, right? I had to find a solution for this. And I ran around trying to find a solution, and I had no money coming in. You know, I had to find other things to do for a while, other jobs, whatever. It was like, and you know, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm not sure if you know, you can share this information if you want.
If you allow us, we will share pretty much everything. Yeah.
You were asking about my Russian partner and friend, Sasha, and he actually saved me from this situation because he's just a mastermind of negotiation in a Russian way. You know, what he did, and he went to see this guy who stole my, you know.
Oh, wow.
And basically made a deal with him.
Where this guy was from?
To get me back my name and everything. And it was successful. And after that, and eventually we made a partnership, and we started Doctor's Choice.
Oh,
So-
maybe this is also one of the things which could actually cause the confusion that people calling you Russian, and especially in the Russian-speaking community.
Exactly, because people who know us well, I'm talking about other breeders, you know, they know me, and they also know Sasha. we're friends, we're partners.
Yeah.
And
So-
yes, very happy with the situation.
Cool.
It's unusual to work with Russians. At the time, it was like nobody was like, people were afraid to do business with Russians. But I learned that
So you have
it's not so complicated.
you have seeds right now. Let's say it's back then, right? You have a bunch of seeds with some miracle miracle things to do, right? So these plants are actually blooming faster and blooming automatic, right? So you have tons of seeds, like you need to sell them. Who became your first customers? Maybe it was some people from different countries.
Yeah.
Which countries were your biggest customers?
Yeah, I can tell you very quickly. It was Dave and my buddy Dave started Original Seeds in Montreal. So it was just Canada at first, and then people started to find me on forums because I was active on the internet back then. And I started to get actually British. UK was probably the first first place I got interest from foreigners. So it was like this one guy called Dr. Chronic who has a shop in Southend-on-Sea. He happens to have a shop where he sells a lot of grow stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
and I actually visited him, and he was my first real distributor. Then bigger guys from the UK. Eventually, I met the guys from Seedsman.
Oh, Seedsman, no
And,
way.
Yeah, like to this day, Seedsman.
These
are
guys
my
are still
friends,
big.
And,
Yeah.
There's very
One of the
successful.
best seed
Yeah,
banks
but they
in
were
Europe.
just starting back then. So Lowryder was actually part of their success, you know.
Wow.
And I also had some other small people that I was selling directly. You know, it was really small amounts back then, and it started a couple guys in Italy who had shops. And then I also got some interest from Russia, and it started to be more and more. You know, there was some breeders from Russia or growers from Russia. I actually went to visit them
Oh, no way.
because they invited me at one point, and I was like, just wanted to check it out. You know, I'd never been to Russia. I'd been to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Been to Poland, but so I made a special trip to meet these first guys I met, Yevgeny and Dmitry, and they were just some young guys, you know, in a small apartment, and I was like, it was like it's a different world, you know. There.
Which year was it, you remember?
Moscow was a little bit scary for me,
Yeah.
you know.
Which year was it?
So it must have been about 2006, 2007.
Something
like
to
that.
sound.
Yeah, Lowryder was very popular in Russia at this time.
Yeah.
Like my very first strain I grew myself was Lowryder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In PC case, you know. small
Wow.
case.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it was like the first time I actually smoked like good ganja.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm from small town,
Yeah.
and the only ganja I could find is like schwag.
Sure.
With leaves,
Yeah.
stems, like
Seeds.
the mess. It's not
Yeah.
even like buds, it's just like mass, you know.
Yeah.
And after this, when I smoked Lowryder, it was holy fuck. the only weed I could get was like maybe 7-8% THC, and
Right.
Lowryder was like twice more potent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was holy fuck. It
Amazing.
was so strong at the first time because I smoked too much. I had very low tolerance.
Okay, for sure, it was your first time.
Still, since then, you're still loving computers and marijuana. And this symbiosis.
Brain.
What's happening right now with your brand? So this brand with your face, as far as I understand,
It is.
with the Canadian flag on the background, as far as I understand, like the red, it's Canadian leaf, right? The
Yep.
maple leaf, and like in the white, you guys see it right now. So it's your brand right now.
Yes. Yes. It's my brand. It's our brand.
Yeah.
We're actually a small team, small company.
How big is your
And
company?
for now, we're in exile
Okay.
in Czech Republic.
Wow.
That's where our offices are. Okay, because yes, Canada things are legal, but extremely regulated. So I've been working for a few years to try to bring my seeds into the legal world and to produce them, but it's just we're not there yet, right? So that's why we're based in Europe, where there's a certain tolerance for seeds can be sold as a novelty item. You know what I mean? It's not like that here. You have to go through. There's taxes. There's various levels of government to deal with packaging. You can only sell like 5 seeds at a time. Within about 1 year, we're going to make an entry. I don't want to talk about it too much because, you know, but we're going to come out with a bang in Canada, get our seeds in the stores, you know, into all the provinces, into the government stores with the packaging and, you know, barcodes and everything. So we're working on that. But for that reason, we've been in, you know, we're in Prague, and a lot of our clientele is in Europe anyway. There's a special inside view into Shazam Farms, our festival site here.
Yeah.
Now we're going up through the forest, maybe find some mushrooms. We're gonna go up this way. This is actually a really old path. It's been here since before we were here, you know.
Yeah.
We like to think that it was used by native peoples before us, Abenaki, who lived in this area. Because it's a well-used path. And of course, this river connects a lot of different areas. If you follow the river up to the end, you're in the US, you're in the States.
Oh, wow.
And connecting to all kinds of hydrological systems down there, which were the highways of the time. This was a spot where apparently it was a summer camping spot because of the birch. This tree here, they used it to make canoes. And you can find this tree all over the place here.
Holy!
Oh yeah! Good eye, good eye. Look at that.
Sergey showed me what is picking mushrooms, right? And now we pretty much every summer going somewhere. And to be honest, most of the time we are very unsuccessful. But looks like the spirits of the forest are on your side.
Yeah. You just have to be persistent.
Yeah.
And look for the signs. This is not a boletus. It looked like a boletus.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm not even sure what it is.
But most likely not
good
for...
Doesn't look interesting to me.
But from the top...
We're gonna leave it to moose. Помнишь, у нас была псилоцибиновая свинья? Надо было с собой брать.
This is our second stage where we have the techno and stuff.
Oh, so it's actually a few different stages as well.
Yeah, we can check it out. This is the amphitheater.
Nice.
My father put all these big rocks here. And this year we actually had quite a party here. It rained so much during the festival, but it was warm. So, and everybody, believe it or not, people who were here, they couldn't go downstairs anymore. We had to close the
No
path.
way. Why? Because it was so slippery?
The river came up so high.
Oh,
It's
shit.
dangerous.
Yeah. It's such a nice place, so you can, if you're too bored, and the rave DJ is not that good, you can always go in the forest, pick up the psilocybin mushroom, eat it, and the mood goes better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly how it works. This is our little orchard. Actually, I planted all these trees, a lot of these trees, with my father when I was a kid.
Apples.
And this is our little apple orchard. I think they're almost ready.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah. Good. delicious. So we
Nice.
actually, in a couple weeks, we're gonna make juice and cider.
Cider is also the thing in here, right? Everybody likes it, right?
It's coming back. Used to be very big in the area. Used to be a big apple producing region. Back in the day, though, they didn't grow apples to just put in your lunchbox. It was all for cider. I smell weed.
I think it's over there.
Yeah, looks like.
Looks like, but I'm not sure. I smell it, or maybe just us.
Oh, here. Here is a cute guy. Girl, I mean.
Nice.
I guess he saved one plant. Everything else was already. There's a couple small ones there. See, he tests new varieties for me. I give him. This is something experimental. It's Bruce Bannerado.
Oh, okay. Regular, probably.
No, it's autoflowering.
Autoflowers, okay.
Yeah. It's autoflower. It's not very big. This one was probably the last one. It's small,
Yeah.
but as you see,
But you can see the trichome is really nice, though.
Yeah. Be ready soon. Oh yeah, man, you gotta smell that.
I was about to ask, but I was like, should I touch it? You know how growers are, like they're so like
Yeah, no,
jealous.
no,
No, don't touch it.
This is like a show and tell, you know. Scratch
Oh
and
my
sniff.
God, man.
Amazing, no?
Oh my God, seriously.
See, that's
Yo.
that's a smell I love. Come, let's go see my father. I didn't
Oh.
know he was there. Hi.
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 Hey, Sal.
Yeah, I wanted to introduce you to my new friends. This is Alan.
Hey.
He's
Nice to meet you. I already heard a lot of good things about you, to be honest.
Thank you.
Alan Aldatov and Sergey.
Sergey?
Okay. Nice to meet you.
I'm the mom.
And,
Hi. Hi, this is the mom, Natasha.
and the
Nice to
ladies,
meet you,
I don't
Alan.
remember their names yet. Katya.
Катя.
А, вы говорите по-русски?
Мы говорим по-русски. Yeah.
Russian,
Russians
Canadian.
from Toronto.
Russian Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, binational.
So Sasha told us that you were the one who influenced him to do all this farming stuff, agricultural stuff, and all this breeding as well. Yeah. Yeah.
By osmosis. You know, it wasn't a plan.
And by osmosis. Yeah.
Sasha from
Yeah.
very young age was part of it. Whether to milk goats or feed the cows
Yeah.
or grow some weed, you know. It was all. It wasn't like planned. It just happened because we had a lot.
Yeah.
And the kids were included.
Honestly, staying in front of such an experienced person, I cannot not ask you. When did you start growing cannabis?
I don't remember, but probably unsuccessfully. Sometimes around 1973.
Oh.
You know, that's
Yeah.
it wasn't successful. It took probably 3 years.
Wow.
4 years before people in this area start growing indicas instead of sativas. The sativas were just
Yeah.
mature and
Yeah.
you basically grew leaves and
Yeah.
it was nice. But
Yeah.
so sometimes around 76, 7, 8, 9, somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but it was a process that we start growing. Never a big plantations. It was never really what you would call commercial. It was just part of the farm economy. With the cows, with the gardens,
Yeah,
with
natural
everything else, just a
natural
part.
farming, pretty much. Yeah.
But now but we got hold of some excellent genetics.
Oh, yeah.
From friends to friends. At that time,
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
no.
Remember the
Market
names?
value.
Remember the names of those?
I remember the names. I gave it to them.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I had a
This
co-
is even more interesting.
Yeah, I had a cognac and champagne. Those my two.
What do you think if we will try to find some cognac or champagne in these, I don't know, on the streets of Montreal? Can we?
Not under
Not
the
anymore.
names.
Not under the names.
were just private.
Just
names,
was your
and
names.
It was, At that time, it was
Yeah.
a completely, from our point, it wasn't. It was just passion about plants,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was pretty unique plant.
Yeah.
Because there is sexuality. You work for male, female.
Yeah, yeah,
You go
yeah, yeah.
every day, couple kilometers from your house to look at it. So there is a, and I like that part of relationship with the plant. And then it became just progressively better. And even so many people think that I know something, but the generations that came after me, they took that knowledge
Yeah, yeah.
into a completely another dimension, and I
Yeah.
enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that
But we
that's what
appreciate.
what we did.
But without your start, without people like you who started this stuff, nothing would happen.
I think more is it's more about creating conditions for guys like Sasha to actually
That's a very
take
good
off.
point,
You know,
yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's not us. We just created a condition for this new passionate and knowledgeable generation to come and do some fantastic stuff.
Guys,
You know.
there is no bigger wisdom than you just heard, to be honest. You see the two generations right now of people who are doing cannabis for such a long time and actually pretty very quality, right, way. So, and in my opinion, this connection between generation, it actually reminds me breeding in general. You kind of
Sure.
exactly right. So you're attaching the best quality to the next generation and letting it to adapt.
Right,
much.
right. On human level,
Yeah.
it's a little wider because it's creating conditions. And then you're too young to remember Soviet Union.
I still remember a little bit, yeah.
The dream of that idea was to create conditions for people to actually live in solidarity and.
Yes.
It didn't work out, but the idea was you can do it on a smaller level, in
Yeah.
a community instead of countries and big things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and so it's been okay. I've been lucky. Luck plays a big role in our life. That's from my 77 years of
Yeah,
perspective. You gotta be lucky, and then when you're lucky, grab it.
Yeah, grab it.
A lot of
Don't
time
waste
we
your
just
chance.
Yeah, don't miss a good luck. Miss the bad one, but
Guys, like, honestly, I will tell you for sure from my side, I'm pretty sure Sergey feels exactly the same. I was expecting even a little bit different interview. Yo, I'm gonna carry this inspiration from both of you guys
Thank you,
for
man.
a freaking long time. It's absolutely honest. Like, I'm not playing on camera right now. You can turn it off. I will say exactly
me
the
too.
same.
I'm not playing on
Yeah.
camera. I'm
Yeah,
talking
this
to
is-
you.
Yeah,
This
and
is-
I had a good feeling
Like,
about you
look, I
guys.
have a freaking goosebumps.
Because it's not every day that we do interviews usually at shows, you know,
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
expo, and I usually hesitant to invite people I don't necessarily know to come to the farm, but I had a good feeling about talking to you, you
Yeah,
know,
appreciate it, man.
and now I'm so happy that you got to visit, have a little slice of our life
Yeah.
here, and for all your subscribers, you know, to come and visit here, it's a real privilege. So, you know,
Yeah.
welcome and thank you.
Man, honestly, like, actually, fuck you, man. This was a pleasure, sir.
Fantastic, man.
Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you.
Thank you so much, man.